of Las Vegas, the bright lights of the world's most vibrant city, New York. And we've even hopped the Atlantic and ventured to London, England. It's been an 8-fight journey into the madcap world of professional boxing. The best-selling Heavyweight Unification Series on HBO. We've seen the drama and disappointment of fallen champions.
The former IBF and WBC Heavyweight Champion, Larry Reed, the Eastern Assassin, Thomas, Terrible Tim Witherspoon.
Uppercut was a good shot by Spinks. Spinks just let it all go. And Thomas is in trouble. He is in serious trouble. Burbick right on top of him. Witherspoon still in trouble. Down he goes again. And now it's over. Rivera stops the fight.
The fight is over.
The varied controversial issues which have plagued this quest for one champion.
And I can say to the judges, the referees, the promoters, the kiss where the sun don't shine. Since we're on HBO, that's my big black behind.
Angry and bitter fighters making accusations of promoters, and at times, even pulling out. Others taking a different road to greener pastures, as lawsuits are flying and championship belts are stripped. The disappointment and disgrace of challengers turned club fighters.
Stephen Bangsta, James Bone Crusher Smith.
We also witnessed the emergence of a rising star. Tonight, we'll focus on Mike Tyson's trainer, Kevin Rooney, whose influence on the young champion is traced back to his own days as a fighter. Now, Tyson takes the final step toward the undisputed title.
And now Tyson moves in for the kill. 2 uppercuts in the left hand. Thomas trying to hold on. Serious trouble. And down he goes.
And finally, we've seen the opportunists. Tony Tucker, after a come-from-behind TKO of Buster Douglas, has emerged as the IBF heavyweight champion.
There was left hook there.
And a right behind it and another right. Douglas is in deep trouble on the ropes. Almost halfway through the round.
Stop the fight.
And Mills Lane, I believe, has stopped this one. He has. It's over.
Tonight, we take an in-depth look at his controversial business relationship with his father, Bob Tucker, as we present the final chapter of HBO Sports' Heavyweight Unification Series. Tonight in Las Vegas, Tyson and Tucker meet for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. Live from the Las Vegas Hilton in Las Vegas, Nevada, HBO Sports presents the final fight of our Heavyweight Unification Series as WBC and WBA champion Mike Tyson beats IBF champion Tony Tucker. It's scheduled for 12 rounds. On March 22nd of 1986, Pinklin Thomas lost his WBC title to Trevor Burbick in this very arena. The first fight in a Heavyweight Unification Series, which finally reaches a conclusion tonight. Champions have come and gone. Michael Spinks still claims a piece of the crown as the choice of at least some, but tonight, one man will climb out of this 20-foot square with the undisputed title for the first time since February 15th, 1978. Ironically, it was in this very ring and in this very arena that the enigmatic Leon Spinks took the undisputed title from the legendary Muhammad Ali. Hello, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins, along with Sugar Ray Leonard and Larry Merchant. Welcome to Las Vegas. Yes, there will be a championship fight tonight, contrary to some discussions yesterday, discussions about the fact that there were an awful lot of hands in Tony Tucker's pocket, none of which were Tony's. And also, I think a lot of people would have liked to have seen Michael Spinks in this championship fight and not Tony Tucker. But Larry Merchant, the simple fact is, Michael Spinks is up in the ozone here, and Tony Tucker is here tonight in the ring.
I don't think there's any question or that it's any secret that we'd have preferred to have Michael Spinks fighting Tyson in the final showdown. But given the politics and the egos and the conflicts of interest in boxing, and the fact that some fighters try to circumvent the tournament and others try to sabotage the tournament, it's simply amazing that we would have any final at all. And it's even odd, in a way, that Michael Spinks, of all people, really validated Tucker as an opponent for tonight, because Spinks not only refused to fight Tyson in the tournament, but he also gave up his share of the heavyweight championship so that he didn't have to defend against Tucker, who was a mandatory challenger. Who is this unknown terror? Well, he's unbeaten against ordinary opposition. He's never been knocked down against the same opposition. And he is a big, tall, defensive-oriented fighter, the kind of fighter that has frustrated Tyson in the past. And one other thing, Barry, he has a 14-inch advantage in his hair length.
Sure, let's talk for just a moment about Mike Tyson. He's a guy, and everyone has said this, including yourself, the only person who's going to beat Mike Tyson is Mike Tyson. And yet a couple of things that went a little bit astray for the champion in the past couple of weeks. He missed 3 or 4 days of training. That's never happened before. And when he weighed in yesterday, he was 3 or 4 pounds heavier than he has been, at least in recent fights. Is it just a mountain out of a molehill? Is there anything to it at all?
Well, I think for Mike Tyson, what appears to be uncharacteristics is really normal, because when I was training for Hagler, I trained for so long, Barry, I had to break training. I had to break monotony. I think the same thing applies to Mike Tyson. He wanted to get away from that training atmosphere and go to a more peaceful atmosphere. It's okay. I don't see no big problem with that.
All right, and of course, when something like that does happen, when a Mike Tyson does go AWOL, then I guess all the fingers start pointing, and in this case, the most logical place for them to point is into his own corner, and the second man in his corner, his trainer, Kevin Rooney. Now, of course, if Kevin Rooney is going to be held accountable at all for some of the lapses in Mike Tyson's training, then I guess it's fair to say that he can also be held accountable for Mike Tyson's record.
Everybody try to relax and do the right thing now. Try to move your heads. Like, do the best you ever did, you know what I'm saying? You guys understand what I'm saying? Don't make me go off, you understand? That's work. That's work. That's work.
At 31, Kevin Rooney has a stable of 2 toddlers and 1 21-year-old heavyweight champion, all of which happened happily in the long run, but unhappily at that moment after Alexis Arguello ended his own championship ambitions. Rooney learned that giving advice can be more rewarding than receiving punches. Rooney's journey to his enviable position began as a teenager in upstate New York, where he sat at the feet of Zen boxing master Cus D'Amato.
There was like a power about him. And the more I got to know him, the more he spoke to me. Like, when I first came up, we used to take long rides to the city, and he would talk over and over the stories and, you know, life in general. You know, I feel that everything and that I teach is what I learned from Cus.
Rooney was D'Amato's keenest disciple when Tyson arrived at age 14 from a correctional institution. Gradually, a bond developed between the amateur and the pro, and D'Amato groomed Rooney to carry on his legacy through the future champion, even though he had never trained anyone before. The torch was passed when D'Amato died a year and a half ago.
We just both grew up around Cus. We're like brothers. It's not business to me between me and him. I guess we're more friends than just, you know, boxer trainer. But when it comes to business, when a job has to be done, you know, we both do our job. He's only looking for one shot on you. Your defense tight. You gotta be even more aware now. You understand? You can't get lazy. You can't get careless. Michael, you have a great jab. You're not using it at all. I want to see a snappy, hard jab. You're not fighting this guy. We're going to fight. We're going to fight it. We're going to bullshit.
But given the high expectations of the precocious Tyson, whenever he looks less than his best, whether it's his fault or not, rumors surface. Rumors that a veteran, perhaps like Eddie Futch, will join or replace Rooney.
I'm able to handle it. I know what I'm doing. See, now I've said this before. I've said it to newspapermen. I know how to read, and I see, you know, this guy, bring this guy in, Rooney's not doing it, this and that. I just take that stuff with a grain of salt. See, I've always said, I don't consider that I'm better than anybody, but I don't consider anyone is better than me. Now, how can I say that? I say that because I got an education. I was around Cus D'Amato, who was head and shoulders above everybody. There wasn't a greater trainer, teacher, or manager than Cus.
Inevitably, despite the dynamic Tyson's perfect record, Rooney has been and will continue to be targeted for his imperfections. Rooney balances the ballyhoo with the belly aching by working with prison inmates. That, of course, is not unlike Customato and the young, far from perfect Mike Tyson.
We're all dealt hands in life. Now, these guys, you know, their environment or whatever, or they were just, you know, not too bright at the time they committed their crimes or whatever. So, well, I seen that side of life. So, and then I met a guy like Cuss. So, well, now let me try to help. See, I don't need the job, but for the reason I told you before, it's a way for me to refine my skill.
Whatever the pressure of his job, the responsibility that goes with the opportunity, life is a knockout for Kevin Rooney right now, as it is for Mike Tyson and everyone around him.
I think we got a little bit of a dynasty going, and if we want to roll, I feel like give him good advice. Now, if the fighter goes out there and does it, that's good. If the fighter doesn't do it, that's bad. And if he doesn't do it, then they're gonna look at me. So far they haven't had the opportunity. But you can see the handwriting's on the wall. If something is to go wrong, it's all gonna come on Kevin Rooney. But that's the business. So, you know, it's no big deal. I'm not gonna lose any more hair over it.
Well, in just a few minutes, Kevin Rooney will bring his and Customato's charge into the ring to try to win it all in the heavyweight division, as the WBC and WBA champion Mike Tyson takes on the IBF heavyweight champion Tony Tucker, two undefeated fighters fighting for an undisputed title, only the second time in boxing history. You know, because of the celebrity status of our boxing champions, they're always being approached. Give me this, donate that. Can we have one of those for charity? It isn't often that a champion does the approaching. It was only a year ago when Holy Angels Church in Chicago burnt to the ground. Faced with a bill of more than $3 million to rebuild, Father George Clements needed help, and there was Mike Tyson.
I have no doubt in my mind that with the help of the heavyweight champion of this planet, that church will go up. No doubt whatsoever.
With more on Mike Tyson, here's Larry Merchant.
2 minutes. Sorry, we've had a little bit of a disturbance behind me here. I don't think that Mike Tyson is ready to be canonized just yet, at least outside the ring. Inside the ring, he is a candidate to be canonized in the boxing sense of the term, which brings me to a point that I'd like to make personally. Long before there was a Mike Tyson or an HBO, I believe that John L. Sullivan had it right when he said, "I can lick any man in the house." A true champion, a real champion, fights anyone and everyone. And we've had such champions in the last decade. Duran, Leonard, Hagler, Hearns, Arguello, Larry Holmes before he got old and started to pick some of his opponents. And indeed, Michael Spinks as a light heavyweight, not as a heavyweight. Mike Tyson is the only heavyweight out there who says, "I can lick any man in the house," and is willing to back it up. That's why we have so many folks here, so many more folks out there, and that's why Tony Tucker is getting a chance tonight. After President Carter declared a boycott of the 1980 Olympics, the U.S. boxing team scheduled a series of exhibitions in Europe. En route to Poland, their plane crashed. There were no survivors. But the star of the team had missed the flight because of an injury sustained the day before.
It really hit me, because I said, you know, I was that close, you know, to being dead along with the rest of the guys. So I figured that God spared my life for a purpose. And that purpose was obviously to be a heavyweight champion of the world.
Tony Tucker's career was guided by his father, Bob, a former amateur fighter himself. Although he would miss out on Olympic fame and instant fortune, he was well respected. He won gold medals at the World Cup and then at the Pan American Games, which turned out to be the highlight of his amateur career. His father would follow him into the pro ranks.
Well, I really don't look at it in the manner of father and son. I just look at it as fighter and trainer and manager. I try to put father and son out of my mind. But if something catches me, like his leg getting hurt, and I jump in the ring. So then the father comes up.
Fathers and sons, however, are notorious in boxing for starting better than they finish. Heavyweight champion Joe Frazier, for example, couldn't reproduce himself in his son Marvis. Couldn't make him over in his own furious image. In mid-career, Bobby Chez's father committed suicide. Later, Chez won a light heavyweight title. Emotions and/or economics usually get in the way of a son's development.
I figured if I put all my interest into my son, I couldn't lose either way, whether he was successful or not, because I had put all my work and money into him. And it was better than me putting my money into a beer bottle or putting it into a particular lady, invested in that manner, because a lot of people spend a lot of money that way. I didn't see how I could lose.
But the Tuckers had to sell off pieces of themselves, borrow money to get this far. Of the $1.9 million purse tonight, the fighter will get $600,000 before taxes. Promoter Cedric Kushner will get $350,000, as will promoters Jeff Levine and Josephine Abercrombie, who helped underwrite Kushner's investment in Tucker. Silent partners Dennis Rappaport and Alan Kornberg, $250,000 between them. Bob Tucker's share comes to something less than that for all his trouble. And finally, Emmanuel Stewart, Tucker's first manager, gets $120,000.
I made the move that was the best for Tony, that I felt was best for his development. I knew ahead of time, and I told Tony to be patient, because I said, all those guys you see rush to the top, they're coming down just as fast. It proves me right. We got the championship. But I'll be completely right when he beats Tyson. A couple more fights and I can go sit down. My job will be done.
I stood away from all that, the distractions, and kept on pushing and striving. And my dad was a very big help, because he was right there behind me saying, you're going to get there, you're going to get there, just keep going. Bring me to the gym, keep going. So, through God and my father is why I'm here today.
Few father-son teams get this far, to the big shot for the big time, and even though their pie in the sky is sliced many, many ways. The downside is that his father may have impeded his development as an athlete by matching him exclusively with soft opposition, reducing his chance to win the big one against Mike Tyson. Because the idea is really not just to fight for it all, but to win it all. And you may have heard that the gluttonous Dennis Rappaport now wants a bigger piece of Tony Tucker's pie, $540,000. He tried and failed to stop this fight, as he has others. Apparently that's his true calling in boxing.
And so we are just about ready to get on with things here. We have a momentary delay in Mike Tyson's entrance, and incidentally, it is rather unique that Mike Tyson, who is a champion, will enter first. The reason for that, a coin toss, and Mike Tyson then will be the first man in the ring. Mike Tyson, of course, has been a heavyweight for 29 months as a professional, and people are saying he fights a lot. Well, he has. He's had 30 fights. But when you look at those numbers, not any more certainly than Jack Dempsey or George Foreman. Even more of a contemporary, of course, of Mike Tyson's. Foreman fighting 32 times. Tyson fighting, of course, just about, in fact, a little over one fight a month during his professional career. But he has, of course, had 15 first-round knockouts. Here is the champion of the WBC and WBA, Mike Tyson. He is all business. He, of course, has won all 30 of his fights. Kevin Rooney, the man we spoke of a moment ago, leading him toward the ring. And Ray Leonard, there's been some conversation about the celebrity status, the newfound celebrity status, if you will, of Mike Tyson. And maybe it's hurting him. Maybe that's why he left training camp. There was that incident, of course, in the parking lot in Los Angeles. Now there's conversation he should have a bodyguard. He should have somebody deflecting the public away from him. What's your feeling about the whole celebrity of Mike Tyson?
Well, Barry, once you reach a certain status, quite naturally you have physical or either verbal confrontations. I think with Mike Tyson, he just started, and you need someone in there to deflect or alleviate the pressure, or even an arbitrator, which I have.
Of course, Tyson himself rejects the idea of a bodyguard. I mean, here's a guy who can beat anybody in the world. Sort of like somebody trying to foist a spokesman on Lee Iacocca.
And Tyson's entrance into the ring literally being heralded. And there, of course, is the record that we spoke of. 27 knockouts in the 30 fights of Mike Tyson in a 29-month career. He, of course, has already become the youngest man to ever win the heavyweight championship. Sugar Ray Leonard, at this point, we always talk about what to look for, what are the good points, and yes, what are the bad points of the two combatants. Let's talk tonight about Sugar Ray's tip of the night. How do you see this one? First of all, Mike Tyson.
Well, Barrett, quite naturally, power and strength is no big secret with Mike Tyson. But what I'm impressed with is the hand speed of Mike Tyson. Seen here against Charles Burbick. Exceptionally quick hands for a heavyweight. Once again, we see him against Pinklon Thomas. Great hand speed, which enables him to put his combinations together very well. He did a fantastic job here against Thomas. Now, something I'm an advocate of is the left jab. Now here we see Pinklon Thomas in the white trunks using that left jab to break the rhythm of Mike Tyson. It enables you to keep your man off balance. Tony Tucker, here in the white trunks. His jab is kind of quick, but not consistent. Also, he drops his left jab. You notice that? And it's quite detrimental against a guy with a counter right hand like Mike Tyson. I also believe mobility, lateral movement is very, very important. You can't be a stationary target. Here, Tony Tucker in the reds, stationary target, gets hit by a right hand, left hook goes down against Buster Douglas.
So that's what to look for, and if Tony Tucker isn't going to be able to beat Mike Tyson, he may be able to blind him. If you look at that outfit, Tony Tucker has come into the ring. He sprinted into the ring. Well, whether he sprints out remains to be seen. He's won 34, not 35. There was that fight with Danny Sutton. Remember that he went down with an injured knee. It was ruled no contest and not, as some people have said, a victory. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape, and there is one number that really jumps out at you. It's down at the bottom, and that is the 10.5 inch, or rather 12.5 inch reach advantage, 10.5 inch, beg your pardon, reach advantage of Tony Tucker over Mike Tyson.
And don't forget that 14-inch hair advantage. And here is our punch stat numbers to give you a profile of the quantitative number of punches that they throw in fights. Tyson threw only 26 per round against Bone Crusher Smith because Smith was hugging him so much. They throw around the same number of punches. Tyson, of course, throws a lot harder punches, and that's shown in this graphic on jabs. He throws a few jabs. Tucker throws more. He's going to have to throw a lot more in this fight.
And we will take a look at the rules. It is an amalgam this time of the IBF, WBC, and WBA. I'd love to have been in those meetings. Must have been like the bar scene in Star Wars. 10-point must system. 3 judges score the fight. No standing 8 count. You can be saved by the bell only in the last round. And, of course, the one that really could have an effect on this fight, the 3 knockdown rule, is in effect contrary to many fights. Now, let's go up to the ring announcer. Chuck Hull will get the pre-fight introductions.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Hilton Center of the Las Vegas Hilton Hotel, where tonight Don King Productions, in association with the Hilton Hotel, presents Glory Hallelujah, a unification of the heavyweight championship of the world. These bouts are sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Dwayne Ford, Chairman, Harold Buck, Executive Director, with Commissioner side Sig Rogich, Herb Santos, Freddie Little, and Sammy Macias. The sanctioning bodies and the representatives of those bodies at ringside, representing the WBC, its president Jose Suleiman. Representing the WBA, its president Gilberto Mendoza. And representing the IBF, its president Bobby Lee. The officials assigned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission for the next bout of the evening. The judges are Julio Roldan of Venezuela, Phil Newman of New Jersey, and Bill Graham of Las Vegas. The timekeeper is Al Bisick. Counting at the nightdowns, Mike Lachella. The attending physicians at ringside, Doctors Flip Omansky, Donald Romeo, and Elias Ghanem. And your referee is Mills Lane. This is the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing for the unification of the heavyweight championship of the world. Introducing, in the blue corner, fighting out of Houston, Texas, weighing 221 pounds, with a professional record of 34 wins, no defeats, 29 KOs. He is the IBF heavyweight champion of the world, Tony TNT Tucker. from Catskills, New York. He too weighs 221 pounds. He is undefeated in his professional career. 30 wins, no defeats, with 27 KOs. He is the WBA and WBC Heavyweight Champion of the World, Iron Mike Tyson.
Okay, now, here we go. Now, you've had your instructions in the dressing room to protect yourself at all times. Any question of Mr. Tucker is chief second. Any question of Mr. Tyson, the chief second. Let's get it on. Come on.
There's a line in the movie Full Metal Jacket. You can talk the talk. Can you walk the walk? It's time for Tony Tucker now to walk the walk.
Or run the run, as it were.